Hi everybody, welcome to I Am Ministries. I Am Ministries is designed to give you dependable and accurate answers that come straight from God's holy and inspired word, the Bible. And my name is Angelo Quinones. Now, welcome to a brand new set of appendices, mimicked after the ones that I did after the last study of the John 1 through 18 series, meaning the prologue of the Gospel of John series. Now, I did a set of appendices and they were good, but I want to do them over again. To give a more deeper and broader perspective that I even did in those appendices. There were three appendices based on the Greek found and recorded in Matthew chapter 18 verse 10, which clearly states that angelic beings see God continuously. So this verse can't mean no one has seen God at any time. It doesn't say that no man has seen God at any time. All right, it says no one. It's very strict, and that means no one. No, according to the interpretation of some people that they throw upon horao. I don't interpret it that way. I believe that angelic beings and human beings saw God, but I have to prove that according to the Greek of Matthew chapter 18 verse 10 and the Hebrew of Exodus chapter 30 verses 20 to 23. And we're going to look at the Hebrew behind the words face and back. Some translations has it like this, quote, back parts, end quote. And obviously I want to look at the augment, because I want to look at that word exegesata again, which means to declare, to make known, like that, etc. And I wasn't so clear in the body of the original study pointing out what's an augment, so I want to check that out as a matter of fact. All right, so let's just read the verse again because it does have to do with the series. So this is the last verse of the prologue. Suffices to say that the book ends of the prologue, verses 1 and 18, has the deity of Christ in it, also the deity of the Father. But since the Son is denied more than the Father, except for atheists, and I made an audio recording last night, a letter to atheists, and atheists have to understand that the reason why we can't see God because if we did see God in its total essence, the face of God, we would die. You understand what I'm saying? It's like drawing the sun nearer to Earth. Much nearer to Earth. The sun is around 93 million miles away from the planet Earth. If it was drawn nearer for, let's say, half of that distance, 46.5 million miles, well, everything would die upon Earth. Everything would die. So I mean, that's just the deal. That's why nobody can land on Venus. Because the surface of Venus, has a temperature that fluctuates, between 8,000 and 9,000 degrees, and then nobody could go to the center of the Earth, this Earth. You understand what I'm saying? Because the temperature is over 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Imagine moving Earth toward the sun, SUN, or the other way around. Nothing will survive. We'll multiply that by infinity because God created the sun. The sun is nothing. The sun is like a flashlight compared to and not even compared to the radiance and glory of the living God of Israel. You understand what I'm saying? So that's just the deal. So that was a letter to the atheists. So I mean, that's just it. So I mean, but really, a lot of people don't deny the Father, except for atheists and people like that. You understand what I'm saying? They're irreligious. You understand? And you have some religions who have their own God. So the deity of the Father is recorded in verses 1b and 18a. But the deity of who we now know as the Lord Jesus Christ is brought out, okay, up in center, okay, in these verses as well. Verses 1 C or 1 gamma and 18 alpha or A. Now let's just read this in its entirety, and we'll get into exegesita because we're right here anyway, and we'll talk about the augment and some other things about the aorist tense. Now, no one, ude is the Greek behind, udes actually is the Greek behind these two English words. No one has seen, and has seen has to do with heoraken. No one has seen God, and that's anartros theon, at any time, popote, okay, or popate, whatever, however you want to pronounce that word. The only begotten God, managenes theos, okay, who is in the bosom, kolpon, of the Father, patras, probably in the genitive, right? He has explained him. Okay, he has explained him. Exegesita. I want to look at the word exegesita in the Greek. So let's get there, okay? And let's get this app so you can see, the breakdown when I'm speaking. Okay, so let's get there. So let's go to John's Gospel, and it's right here recorded. Okay, so these set of appendices are going to be more to the point. Okay, let me see. That's chapter 1, and verse 18 is right here. No, that cannot be the case. Because, wait a minute. Let me see what I did over here. Let's get this again. John, let me see. Okay, John. Make sure I poked the bear correctly. Ugh, it's so small. Because I know that I said it's not correct because the pushing of the tab, because I know that that John 1 has more than 50 verses. Okay, so let's go to the 18th verse. That's just it. And it's right here. Okay, there we go. Theon. There you go. It says over here, Theon Udes, and so that's just the deal. Theon Udes Heoraken. And Heoraken, we found out that's in the perfect tense. Okay? And the perfect tense is sprinkled throughout this prologue. You have the perfect tense ending the third verse. Okay, giganen, reduplicating consonant there, gamma, reduplicating to another gamma connected by a connecting vowel epsilon. And so there's a perfect tense over here, but this has to do with vocalic reduplication. And we saw that the omicron lengthened to omega, showing the reduplication. And the epsilon has to do with that as well, okay? So it's not a perfect it's not perfect reduplication. Perfect reduplication would have been that the omicron goes to another omicron and you have but the Greeks don't like that. That's called hiatus, and they don't like that according to Mouse. You understand what I'm saying? Now, so let's go to exegesita, the last Greek word found and recorded here. Okay, has made him. Okay, has made him known, and the him is not here. You have to get that by the context, from the context. All right. If you want to say that him is here, because you could say him, you could say he, she, or it, according to the third person primary middle of passive personal ending ta. Well, I mean, of course. Now, Exegesata, okay, is spelled out epsilon, Xi, eta, nowadays called eta, gamma, eta, sigma, which means to synchronize, and then alpha, which means rising, and then you have tau, nowadays called tau, and then omicron, nowadays called omicron. Okay, so epsilon, Xi, eta, gamma, eta, sigma, alpha, tau, and then omicron. I hope I didn't say alpha there. That's omicron, the last letter of this a very interesting Greek word. But the problem is you have two Greek words here. You have two Greek words. Okay? You have ek, and then you have okay, ex, I'm sorry, you have x, and then you have ge sata. Okay? According to the context. Okay, according to lexical form, you got x, that's a preposition, so that's a part from the upcoming word that's tagged along for the ride, and you have a ge amai, which is a deponent word. And the formula for the deponent word is this: a deponent word, though middle or passive in form, is active in meaning. Okay, you understand? That's the formula for deponency. But let's get back to the textual form. So draw a line right in the middle of x and the upcoming word. Okay? X and ek mean the same thing. Okay? It's just a different form. Okay? It's just the same. It's the same thing. Now this is the deal. So you cannot have, if you think that the epsilon there, okay, is an augment, then you're going to be wrong, okay, because prepositions cannot contain, okay, the augment. Letters in Greek can lengthen and be shortened and can drop off. That's called oblate, okay. We know that the augment can go with the aorist tense, okay, in the beginning of the word. Okay, if you have a vowel beginning of the Greek word, that vowel will lengthen. If you have alpha, okay, if you have a word beginning in epsilon, or an alpha, it can lengthen to eta. Okay. If you have a consonant heading up the Greek word, okay, then you place an epsilon right in front of it. Okay. So if you have a word like keruso, I preach, I proclaim, whatever the case may be, found and recorded in verse 19 of chapter 3 of 1 Peter. Well, you could put an epsilon and your first aorist morpheme, you could place it in the word and toward the end, and you could have ekeruxen. Okay. So, if we think that the augment is going to be placed either anywhere toward the anywhere in the preposition, but in the beginning or toward the end of the preposition, we're just going to be wrong, because the augment does not go with the preposition. Okay, is tagged in front of, if it begins with a consonant, in front of the of the upcoming word. This is a compound word that has two Greek words in it. It has a preposition and a word that means to declare, if you will. Okay. Now, if the word begins with a vowel, well, that vowel is going to be lengthened, and that's what happened. Okay. That's why you see the first eta there. All right. Now, I said in the body of my study, you understand what I'm saying? My favorite word, this reminds me of one of my favorite words in the Bible, agol, found and recorded, for example, in verse 14 of chapter 8 of Romans. And so if you look at the semantic range, you can see that 1834 is poke the bear. And let's look at the not the meanings of it though, but the origin. Okay, from ek, okay, that's preposition, and okay, hegeomai, to consider out loud, i.e. it says rehearse, okay, unfold. Let me see in the semantic domain definition. There goes, elite. There's right there. It says so let's look at it. Okay. Definition to a lead. Right up front. To lead, show the way. Okay, metaphorically, to unfold, narrate. Okay, declare. He has declared him. There's another translation. But up front and center, it means to lead. Now this is the deal. So it reminds me, okay, of that what? Now it doesn't have alpha. Okay, here it doesn't have alpha. Okay, it doesn't have that, but it reminds me of the word. Like I said before, let's go to it. Let's go to Romans. Okay, chapter 8 and verse 14. Okay, Romans 8 and chapter 14. Okay, and you're gonna have a different spelling over there, but basically, it's gonna have the word lead in the semantic range. There's no doubt about that. Okay, so it's poke the bear. Okay, as many hasoi for, and that's a post-positive gar, by the Spirit pneumati of God, and that's theou, by the Spirit. Okay, and incidentally, you don't say by the Spirit of a God. That's an arthrous theou there. Okay, that's just for my Jehovah's Witness friends. Led. Okay, and that's agantai. It looks like a participle. It's not a participle though. Okay, that's in the present tense. This is a present indicative middle passive form. The tie. Let me see if it's. So this is in the present tense, and and so this is third person singular. So with the untai, the tai will be third person singular middle passive personal ending, and the untai will be with the nu it would be a third person plural personal ending from the primary middle passive personal ending chart. Okay. You know, I let me see my side tie, methods that tie like that. So agol, let's poke the bear 71 as one of the first Greek words in your lexicon, and let's check out the semantic pool. Okay, so let's check out the definition. Definition means to lead. You see, exactly the same thing that heads it up. And this means more lead than anything. To lead away, okay, bring a person, for example, or an animal, okay, guide, spend a day, go. And Dr. Barnhouse gave a vast array of meanings: attract, allure, bait, conduct. I remember his study in this that has to do with this word, okay, Romans chapter 8 verse 14, and he gave a whole list of meanings of agol. So this strictly means to lead. It really has that connotation, not to declare, but to lead. Okay, So it's a different Greek word. I understand that. Okay, but still, it has basically the same root, you know, and that's why over here it means to lead. Okay, and the other one, okay, also means to lead. I'm not talking about the preposition, but I'm talking about the word that comes right after the preposition ek or ex. Okay, you understand? This is the deal. So let's close that up and get back to John's Gospel. Okay. Okay. So this is just the deal. Now wait for a second. This is the thing. Now, let's go to chapter 1. It's already poked. Wish I could get there more quickly. And I wish I could poke it, for God's sakes. So, that's just it. Now, verse 18 is right here recorded. Okay? Let's go to the last part. Okay. And that's just the deal, right? And has made him known. Exegesata. It will be actually exegisato, actually in modern Greek, if they were pronouncing the same Greek word, but we'll stay with exegesata. So the X, we could draw a line between the kasi and the first eta and just pull that apart and not study that, because that's a preposition and that epsilon is not the augment. Okay, and as a matter of fact, okay, the epsilon in Heorakin is not an augment also. Is not an augment. Okay? That is not an augment. So it looks like an augment because we're used to, some words having, epsilon as an augment. That's the problem. That's the flaw, okay, in vocalic reduplication. To me, that's a flaw. Okay? Is not, first of all, it's not even vocalic reduplication. It doesn't reduplicate to another omicron, and just do it in that instance so you can show the reduplication. You understand what I'm saying? Just like consonantal reduplication reduplicates, okay, except for if you have, let's say, a word that begins with two consonants. Well, then you put the augment, you put the epsilon. Or not the augment, strike that, but you put an epsilon in front of it, okay? In the perfect tense. If you have a gamma or nu, well then you don't reduplicate that gamma, okay? You put an epsilon. So the perfect tense is the easiest tense to analyze. If you have everything going for you, the outside of me, if you have the kappa alpha or kappa alpha sigma or kappa epsilon, you understand what I'm saying? Like that. If you have a reduplicating consonant there, that will reduplicate, but then you have to know the rules. That's the problem also, because thetas reduplicates to taus, and then the chi into kappas, and then the phis into p's. Okay, so I mean, you know what I mean. So that's kind of strange. Even though as glaring as the perfect tense is still not so glaring if you don't know the rules. That's the problem. Okay. So, but getting back to this aorist tense, though, because this is the aorist tense, this is the AIM, okay, construction, okay, the ta is proving that out, like I said before, like in agenita, it's the same personal ending for agenita, it's the same thing, okay, we found that twice in verse 3, okay, and it's going to be upcoming in verse 14. As a matter of fact, and there might be some other ones there also, sprinkled throughout the body of this prologue. Again, it's you understand what I'm saying? Now, exegesata. So, now we know that if we look at the lexical form, okay, we have egeomai. Okay, so we have a geomai there. We have an eta there. Okay, so you cannot lengthen that. Okay, you cannot lengthen the eta. If now if you had an alpha there, it will lengthen to an eta, like agape. You see the eta lengthening the alpha there in the word for love. As an AIA is too deep for tears also, theologically speaking, because God so loved the world, right? But anyway, getting back into the language that, agapao turns into, agapesen. It turns in, the alpha turns into an eta, and then you have you have the aorist tense morphine there, like that. So, so you have the science of an aorist, and not all aorists are created equal. Understand that. Okay, you have aorist constructions without augments because there's no time in participles in your participial constructions. Okay. All right. So the thing is that eta is here already, so you don't need to do anything. The eta, that's it right there. Okay. You don't need to lengthen anything. As a matter of fact, you already have here, okay, a great clue for the aorist anyway. Okay, the sigma and alpha, okay, right, is written right, okay, the sigma and alpha morphine, the first aorist morphine is written right before the personal ending ta. Okay, so you have ta, and then before that you have sa, and that's the first aorist. Okay, alpha would be the second aorist if alpha was just here. You understand what I'm saying? But you have the complete morphine, which means form or shape, by the way. It comes from the Greek word morphe. So when somebody's teaching something from Greek and they say morphine, well, they're actually, quoting a Greek word. Okay. Exegesata. Okay, so that's you don't need an augment there because you have the eta already. In the lexical form, that the eta is there. Okay, exegesata. Okay, or actually, I'm sorry, exegeomai. Okay. Now the reason why you have another eta, okay, in the body of the textual form is because that epsilon lengthened to an eta because of the transformative that's coming up. So if it's just like in the future tense word stesitai. Okay, you have a lengthening of a vowel there before the future transformative sigma. Okay, so that's a usual thing that happens before transformatives, that a vowel tends to lengthen. Okay, so that eta doesn't have to do with that. That's not the augment. I'm just saying, because you have two etas over here. Okay, then you have something that looks like an augment in the beginning of the word, but it's not an augment because the epsilon heads up the spelling of the preposition X. It's not an augment, and prepositions don't take augments. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? Okay, what prepositions do is that they take their objects. Okay, and according to the case of the object of the preposition, okay, well, that's going to influence the meaning, you understand what I'm saying, of the preposition. So that's just the deal. Okay, you see, our articular infinitives actually manipulating, okay, the meaning of prepositions. Okay, so that's just it. So I just wanted to add that. No pun intended, because the augment. Okay, instead, and an augment is like, I like to liken the augment to the ed in English verb. Like, for example, he kicked the ball. So how do you know that's in the past time? That's a past time action. It's a completed action, simple completed action. Well, the ed. He kicked the ball. Okay? Now, unfortunately, you don't see the ed in every single verb. Like he sung a song, or he sang a song, or whatever the case may be. You understand what I'm saying? Well, you don't say he sang. Okay, you understand? Unless you're from the Philippines. I'm just saying, I live here, so I can complain all I want to. You understand what I'm saying? So. My wife used to say, I off the light, So she didn't use the word that usually comes before that, Oh no, well, she'll tell you to off the light instead of turn off the light, like that. I off the light. No, I turned off the light. I mean, goodness gracious, you understand what I'm saying? I don't know why I got married, guys. But anyway, I'm just saying that you can either change a vowel. You don't say he rang to the bell. He rang the bell. You see? So I will ring the bell. No. So you have to change ring to rang in the past tense. You understand what I'm saying? So that's just he kicked the ball. Well, you could add ed there. That's all. So the augment, to me, reminds me of the ed in English. So I could explain it like that, so it could be kind of easy. Okay? That's like the augment. It's showing past time. A completed action in past time. Okay? So that's just the deal. So I wanted to add that. Okay, so I basically, said all I wanted to say, because people could look at the epsilon and say, "Oh, well, that's the augment," and they're going to be fooled by it. They're going to be tricked by it, because if they don't know the rules, they'll think that the epsilon is an augment because it looks like an augment, And the epsilon in Heorakan looks like an augment, but they're not augments. Okay, you understand? That's just the thing. That's just the deal. Now, let's go. Okay. To this now, okay. Now, no one has seen God at any time. Well, I mean, that's not the way that Heorakan there should be interpreted. Okay, to me, because of the existence of exegesata, okay, it should be translated: no one has perceived God at any time. Now, it's okay to translate it see, because we're going to see in chapter 9 that people that had probably 20/20 vision, or 20/10, or whatever the case may be, you understand what I'm saying, were called blind by Jesus. And not only that, in the great parable chapter of the kingdom, Matthew chapter 13, which is the greatest of all, you have Mark 4 and Luke 8, but the greatest of these, okay, is Matthew chapter 13. That is the greatest chapter in the Bible, as a matter of fact, when you're talking about the kingdom of God. The greatest chapter overall is Romans chapter 8. That's a miniature Bible within the Bible. It's a deal. But over there, having eyes they see not, having ears they hear not. You understand what I'm saying? So just because it says no one has seen God, you have to see what that means. We get the word exegesis from exegesata or exegeomai. You understand? Exegesis from that. And hermeneutics is found and recorded also in the body of chapter 1 of John's Gospel, also like 41 or something like that. You understand what I'm saying? Or hermeneutics. Hermeneutics, I hope I said that. And apologetics is found in the, not that that should be the main center of Christianity, but because preaching should be, according to Martin Lloyd-Jones. But apologetics is a ministry, and that's the basis for that is found and recorded in verse 15 of chapter 3 of 1 Peter. So all these things are biblical things, hermeneutics, apologetics, and an exegetical look at something. You understand what I'm saying? Based on the Greek, or the Greek geek. You understand? But let's get to Matthew. Okay, Matthew chapter 18 and verse 10. Okay, that's it. Now it says over here, check this out. See that you, Jesus is speaking, see that you, and I believe that's an imperative there, okay? From Horao, as a matter of fact. We're going to check it out. See that you do not despise or look down upon one of these little mikron, okay, little ones, the children, the little ones, for I say to you, that their angels in the heavens, actually, that's uranois. Okay, I wish they could translate it the way it is. In the heavens, okay, in the heavens continuously see the pani in Hebrew, or the prosopan of my Father, And my Father is, that's the genesis of a relationship, who is in heaven, or in the heavens probably, okay? I don't know if the second one's in the plural, but we can check it out. No, let's check it out now. Okay? And to do it, let's check this app out. Now, let's go to Matthew's Gospel, you understand? And so that's just, I hope I poked it right. And check out verse 18. Verse 18 and chapter 18 and verse 10. Okay, so that's just it right here. I have to sneak. It's like using sneakers, for God's sakes. See that is not there. That's okay. Harate. Okay, harate. Probably some people will pronounce it harate because of the circumflex. Okay, harate. Now that's from horao, the same Greek word found and recorded. You understand what I'm saying? And not the text, but according to the lexical form, I believe this is tagged by 3708, right? Let me see. Yeah, 3708, and this is an imperative because of the te. That's not a personal ending. Okay, that is that's a imperative, one of the imperative morphemes. Okay, tote, tosa, right? So this is in the plural. So let's go up there and check my Greek, and it's a second plural. Yes. Okay. So there's no first person. Okay, morphemes. Okay. There's no first person in imperatives. You don't command yourself, okay? Unless you're talking, you can, Angelo, don't eat too much salt. I guess you can do that, but they don't have that in Greek, okay? Harate, okay? See that. Okay, that's imperative, the mood of command. And may is there because you're outside of the indicative. Okay, you're in the imperative mood, the mood of command. So that's why u is not there and may is. Okay. May could be also translated in certain instances as into except for parneia. Okay. Except, I think may epi parneia is the clause there, or the set of words, verse 9 of this gospel, actually, just down the road. Okay, actually the next chapter. that talks about divorce. Okay, so you have your textual quotations from the Lord, from verse 1 to verse 9, all the way through verse 9, and he's talking about divorce and remarriage. And you can't divorce and remarriage, okay, unless, okay, certain things happen, okay? And Parthenia covers a whole bunch of meanings. Okay, so I already looked at that in my divorce and marriage series. So I'm just saying that may there is translated into accept. Okay, accept. So I'm just saying. Okay, harate may. Okay, harate may. See that you do not do not despise. Okay, kataferane sete, and then you got the te again there, but that's not an imperative. That's a personal ending. Okay, that te there is a primary active personal ending. Okay, kataferane sete. Okay. All right, now let me see. Let's go on here, and this is one. Okay, enas. Okay, I'm sorry, henas, and of the ton, and whatever's coming is going to be in the genitive plural. Okay, little ones, and that's mikron, genitive case ending there. Okay, mikron. You get micro from that, or what? Of these, okay, tuton, and that's a genitive, okay, demonstrative pronoun. Okay, it's going to be the same for all the genders, tuton, all across the board. Okay, masculine, it's going to be like that for the masculine, feminine, and neuter genders. Okay, all the way across the board, every single, just like ton. All the articles are the same there in the genitive plural. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, it's the only case that does that in Greek. It's the only case that does that in Greek. No other case goes strictly all the way through all the genders as being the same. Okay, some may take some genders may take some constructions may take two genders, like do, toys, doll, like that. But and then going up and down the chart, some constructions are the same for nominative and accusative, like da with an omicron and da with an alpha, like that in the neuter side of the column. But it's wonderful when you look at genitive plurals. I'll tell you that right now. It covers a multitude of sins. Mikron, and then tuton. It's a near demonstrative. Okay, and Achanes is a far demonstrative. You have a certain rule there. It's not a straight-jacketed rule, but it does again cover a multitude of sinful interpretations. Okay, I say, okay, Lego. That's in the present tense. That's easy. I don't even have to look up there. For, and that's gar. Okay. You to you, and that's a humin. That's okay. Hati. Okay. The, and that's hoy. So anything is going to be in the nominative plural. Hoy angaloi. Hoy angaloi. Angaloi of them. Auton. Okay. In. Okay. And that's n. In the heavens, and see, it is plural there. Thank God they translated it there. Okay, in the heavens. Okay, uranois, because this is in the plural. Now, if you translate that, you're going to have a deeper meaning that these angels are everywhere. Okay, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay, what heaven you're talking about? They're all over the place. Okay, a preposition. Continually, always. Okay, and dia pantas. Okay? So diapanta is translated into continually, always. Okay, like that. Panta, and the stem of that, we'll take the omicron and sigma out. You got the stem, pant. Okay? And behold, and that's blepusi. And that usi there is in the plural. Okay, usi, from unsi, right? Okay, so you got the oas a amen eta usi, or nothing sigma iota mente unsi. Okay, that's a primary personal ending, primary active personal ending. Okay, behold. So they behold the what? The da, and that's going to be in the neuter, whatever's coming up. Is going to be in the neuter, whatever's coming up. Prosopan. Face. Okay? B, Rho, Omicron, now these called Omicron, Sigma, Omega, B. That's typifying a Greek structure that P is, a temple. Omicron and Nu, now these called Ni. Okay, Prosopan, the face of who? No one has he got at any time? No one? Well, why are the angels are continuously looking upon the face of the Father? Patras, and that's in the genitive, singular, as a matter of fact. It'll be patron for the genitive plural. You understand what I'm saying? You see a lot of constructions like that in Acts chapter 7, where it talks about, where it uses the word pater in the plural a lot in that chapter, in Stephen's address, and Stephen's great sermon. Father, face of my Father, of me, mu. You understand what I'm saying? Let's stop there. This is a proof, okay, that there are beings that see the face of God, and not only see the face of God, but continuously, though. They have the power to do that. See, I think that, and we're going to see it, that God said that no man can see my face and live. Now, I agree that no man, not just, I'm not talking about angels, because you have angels of fire and the cherubim, okay? Seraphim and cherubim. That's in the plural, just like susim, horses, banim, faces of persons, echadim, a few, right? Elohim, that has a plural connotation. You understand what I'm saying? More than one person to God, different than the singular El found and recorded once in Psalm 102. Tetragrammaton being found 9 times there in Psalm 102, and God quotes from that psalm and addresses his son Jesus, okay, and calls him Yahweh in verse 10 of chapter 1 of Hebrews, after calling him God in that divine sandwich, what I call divine sandwich 8, 9, and 10. You understand what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying? He calls him God with special definiteness. The article has to be used as nothing else. But no, God used special definiteness, and that's just the deal. Now, he has a God. Yeah, he has a God, but that started, okay, during his incarnation, and Psalm 22 points that out. You have been my God from my mother's womb. Okay, that's a death nail to the witnesses, because that shows the timing in how and when. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? Jesus had a God. You understand what I'm saying? It was then and not before. But we're over here. Okay, behold, they behold blepusi. The angels are they behold the face of my Father continuously. Okay, the face, not just the back parts, but the face of my Father. Is that what I'm saying? The face that nobody can see. Nobody meaning mere mortal, a creature that is made lower than the angels. You understand what I'm saying? That's why we can't see, okay, God in His true essence. But okay, we have seen, meaning us human beings, the people that represented us. mankind, let's just put it like that, has seen God at one point or another. I mean, Adam saw God. Understand what I'm saying? That's why he was probably afraid to look at his face because the protection was gone. The light was turned off. You understand what I'm saying? The glory that surrounded man was completely taken away from him as a cloak. You understand what I'm saying? So he needed another cloak to stand before God. Not the fig leaves of man's doing and works. You understand what I'm saying? But that light, that glory that surrounded Adam and Hawa, in Hebrew, Eve, okay? In Hebrew is as Hawa, and in English is Eve, okay? You understand? Huh? There's no such thing as Eve, that name in Hebrew, okay? It's like Hawa, something like that, haven't looked at it in a while, but it's like that. It sounds like Hawaii, for crying out loud. You understand what I'm saying? All right. So that light was gone. But before that, there was no interruption. There was no schism in the relationship. You understand what I'm saying? So he saw God. There's no doubt about it that he saw God. He saw God. And so the thing is that, before the fall, man saw God. That's just the deal. Man is seeing God now. Okay, to be absent with the body is to be present with the Lord. Those are aorist infinitives. You understand? To be or not to be, that's the question that I ask of thee. Do you believe these things? As a witness? No, you don't. See, that's the problem. Okay, so so what are the words that you want to use for the witnesses? Well, Jehovah's Witnesses, by the way, they don't believe anything at all. Let's see. Continuously, always. Okay, diapantas. So you can use diapantas, blepusi. Diapantas blepusi. Or if you can't remember blepusi, just remember blepo. I think it's here recorded, right? Blepo. Yes, blepo. Diapantas blepo. It was a little shortcut. Continuously, always, okay, see. How about that? The face of my father, prosopan, patras, amu. Yeah, I mean, those are words. You pick from those to see what can you use, okay, to silence the witnesses, so-called Jehovah's Witnesses. You understand what I'm saying? Will a witness speak lies, by the way? I think that's recorded in chapter 13 of Job, the book of Job. You understand what I'm saying? Will a witness speak lies for God? Come on, we speak lies for me? Come on, says God. You understand what I'm saying? But okay, so, Thean, Udes, Heorak, and Popote, it can't mean that nobody has seen God, because the angels are seeing God now and then. Okay, is that what I'm saying? It's like an Elvis song, for God's sakes, now and then. You know what I'm saying? They continuously see the face of our Father who art in heaven. Hallowed be thy name. You see what I'm saying? They see. So don't tell me that it means that no one has seen God at any time, because it doesn't say no. It doesn't say no man only. All right. Now, so we took care of that. Okay. Do not despise these little ones that believe in me. Jesus said, "Mikron." There's a lot of that goes around in this world. People despise children every day. They're gonna pay for that. All right, guys. Let's go to another scripture that's recorded. Okay, and this is the Kudagra. This is the key in Exodus. Yippee! Okay, you understand? In Exodus, you understand? So let's poke the bear. Go to the Old Testament. The Old Testament is in the Old contained. The New Testament is in the New explained. The Old Testament is in the Old concealed. The New Testament is in the New revealed. That's a old hermeneutical rule that shouldn't be broken. You understand what I'm saying? Hermeneutics. the art and science of biblical interpretation. I mean, goodness gracious, you have to. It's some kind of a grid to guide you in your interpretation of the scriptures. You understand what I'm saying? Has to be some knowledge or science behind it. You just don't do research according to how you want to do it. You understand what I'm saying? When I'm researching and it proves me wrong, I'm still gonna believe what I believe. No, that doesn't go like that. That's what Mark Jackson does from Missouri, the JW dear friend that he is. But he's always trying to stamp down what he learns. That's why it's just like you have it's like the opposite of what God does. What do I mean? Well, God says a bruised reed he shall not break, and a smoking flax he shall not quench or stamp out. You understand what I'm saying? If anybody has a little life in him, spiritually, like he you know what I mean? If a man has a little bit of hope, God doesn't stamp it away. You understand what I mean? And either some sort of persecution is going on, and he's as faint as can be, but he's, you know what I mean. God doesn't stamp that individual out, or break him like a little reed that's just good for nothing. You understand what I'm saying? All the hairs are numbered on our head, and that's DNA, by the way. That's to do with DNA. That's not the count of the hairs. Who cares about that? Okay. Yes, God knows the amount of hair that you got in your head, but that's DNA. Remember that the hair samples have DNA as numbers attached to that. That's what I'm giving more credit to Jesus than people give him credit for. Not talking about the numbers. That's incredible to count anyway. The counting of the hairs of somebody's head. Okay, that's amazing also. But I think it talks about DNA. The numbers of the hairs of your head are a number like that. I think it has something to do with that. But that's just the deal. So there was DNA in the tomb of Jesus. Hair samples, blood, DNA, and we discovered the thing in 1989. No, God already had DNA going on. When Adam was created, Adam in Hebrew. You understand what I'm saying? That's just the deal. So let's go to this. Okay, Exodus chapter 33. There's 40 chapters here. 40 chapters of glory. Okay, so that's just it. And 34 is where it actually happened, and stuff like that, the stuff of God. Now, I believe I have to start at verse 20. It says, but he said, meaning God, you, meaning Moshe, you cannot see my face. You cannot see my pani in the Hebrew. You cannot see my face. For no man, not angelic being, no man can see me and live. That's a death nail to the atheist. This is answering why, and I don't know why this is not brought up. It was not brought up, by Walter Martin. I don't know how he could how he could think straight, because Madeline O'Hara kept on interrupting him in that great, Christianity versus atheist debate recorded, on a John Neville program, in 1968. The thing was amazing. I have a audio copy of it, but amplified. I amplified it in Corel Video Studio, so I have it much louder than it originally broadcasted. And that, that's the people. Some people, they have it up there on YouTube, but they have it so faint and stuff like that. No, I have it cleaned up, brushed up, amplified, and I have not only amplified, but I have it louder. So that's going to be up there with some, new graphics and stuff like that. God willing, we shall do this and that, because it is faint, It's a faint recording. It's not a bad recording, but it's not strong. The original recording is not strong. But I don't know how he could think straight. But when you can think straight, in front of an atheist, he was in front of Madeline O'Hara, who was killed in 1995 by 3 killers. So her big mouth is shut, and they shouldn't have done that. And the prisoners, not the prisoners, but the perpetrators were some of them anyway were caught. I say some of them because, okay, two of the killers killed the other killer, murderer, I should say, basically, murderer. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, she was suffocated to death, and then her body was burned along with her granddaughter and one of her sons. And by the way, if you're an atheist, why are you yelling and screaming when somebody's killing you? I mean, if you don't believe in God, what's there to yell about? The reports came in by one of the murderers, okay, the head of the operation of kidnapping that family and murdering them and burning them. That Madeline was yelling, hollering. So her last moments consisted of her, this most hated woman in American history, basically, who took prayer away from school, who took the mentioning of Bible passages away from astronauts, okay, and NASA, who said F you to God in a cartoon and stuck out her middle finger at him in a cartoon with lightning going on, who didn't want the church to have breaks in taxes from the government, and said all sorts of filthy things against God in the church. Her being filthy herself, you understand what I'm saying? She was yelling and screaming. Why are you yelling and screaming if you're an atheist? I'm going to bring that up to an atheist if I ever speak to an atheist again. Why did your mother, okay, because basically she's the mother of modern day atheism. That's the fact. Okay? You understand what I'm saying? Especially if you have that organization in Texas still running around. And that's the mother of the atheists, I mean, if you're, why are you yelling and screaming, and then you say you don't believe in God, you don't believe in hell? If it was me, if I was someone who didn't believe in God truly, I mean, I'd say, what the hell? Let them kill me. Who cares? I don't believe in hell. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in God. If I was like that, when you take me out, who cares? I'm not gonna see no God. I'm not gonna be yelling and screaming. I'm not gonna be bitching and whining and complaining. Go, hey, here's a cord, by the way. Put it tighter. Is that what I'm saying? And get it over with. Go ahead. I'm not gonna see him because she was bitching and whining and complaining. There ain't no God. So why is she yelling and screaming? See, this is the issue. The law is written on the tablets of the hearts of men. The law of the Ten Commandments. You understand what I'm saying? So she knew that there was a God, because in a debate in 1968, she was saying to Walter, "Oh my God, oh God." So why are you going to say, "Oh my God," throughout the debate and stuff like that if there ain't no God? Okay? She believed in God, but she hated God. She hated God because her mother wanted to kill her when she was a baby in her mother's womb. That's all. She hated God. She despised God. Okay? So she wasn't really an atheist. She was a self-proclaimed atheist. Yeah, they found out what she was. When she was talking to a friend, and then her friend said to Madeline, "Oh, I know what you are. You're not a skeptic. You're an atheist." Oh, and then she said, "Oh, the bell dawned on me. The light turned on." Oh, come on, yeah, puta desgraciada. You understand what I'm saying? They didn't even want her in Mexico. They kidnapped her at gunpoint and brought her back to the States. You understand? I mean, they didn't want that. If you want to call her a lady, she wasn't even a lady, for God's sakes. I mean, she just hated God. She knew there was a God. She wasn't a real McCoy atheist, though. No. All right, let's get to this, guys, okay? You understand what I'm saying? That's why God can't be seen, because you'll be killed on the spot. Oh, why doesn't God show up? says the atheist. That's the dirty atheist, by the way, using the alpha primitive. How dare you use an alpha primitive in front of theos? You know what I'm saying? Negating the word. No, you're gonna kiss Jesus' feet before you're sent to hell. Fire torture. And to add insult to injury, if you die now, instead of saying you'll go to Sheol for a very, very long time, and then after that, okay, it's like out of the frying pan and into the fire, adding insult to injury, hell, Hades, and death is going to be thrown into the lake of fire. How about that? On for size. See? You have a big mouth, all of y'all. At the tower, at the mosque, at the Mormon so-called church, temple, you understand what I'm saying? In Utah. By the way, does divorce head up Utah, by the way? Is it still number one in Utah? I wonder why. Well, when your husband thinks that he's a god, I mean, what kind of husband is that? And when your wife thinks that she's a god, what kind of wife is that? All right, so let's check this out. Let's go to verse 21. Then the Lord, maybe there. Then the Lord said, "Behold, okay, there is a place by me, and you shall stand there on the rock." Okay, that was going to be his protection. On the rock. 22, in the hand of the Lord, obviously, and it will come to pass, or about, says pass as another translation about here, while my glory is passing by, that I will put you in the cleft of the rock and cover you with my hand until I have passed by. Now, this is the last verse of the chapter. It says, "Then I will take my hand away, and you shall see my back, but my face shall not be seen." So, if you're saying that no man has seen God in this way, in this fallen state, meaning the fallen state of man. You understand what I'm saying? You're right, but it doesn't mean that Orakel. It means no one has perceived God. And Tony, that JW from Florida agrees. But I will say, he says in a debate, against yours truly, that it can mean perception. See, there you go. He was saying it right in the debate. It's the Hara'o debate. Okay? I might want to switch it, the face of God debate or something like that, Oh, no. It's actually called the Seen debate. SEEN, the Seen debate. Has God been seen, has God been seen, And I say in the debate that it really should be translated, okay, perceived. But no, I don't know if anybody has done that in the many Bibles that we have. We have to check that out. But it should be translated perceived, because it's just misleading. Of course, and of course, let's go to just a couple of chapters, down the road, and I could do it this way. You understand what I'm saying? Chapter 24. It says that the 74 people saw God at the same time. What are you gonna do with that? In particular, in verse 10. But let's see. Here, recorded in chapter 24 of this book. Okay, let's see this. It says over here, then Moses went up with Aaron. So Moses and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Yisrael. So the number is there, 74 people. what happened? Well, verse 10 tells you, and they saw, the Greek word, the Hebrew word is ra'ah, and they saw the God of Israel, ellipsis. Okay, is that clear? They saw the God of Israel. Now, did they see his face? No. But they saw something of God. They saw the God of Israel. So this idea that nobody has seen God at any time is misleading. I don't care how you see God. If you see something of God, a little piece of God, you saw God. Not in total, not according to the total glory of God, the total Shekinah, the total kabod. I'm not talking about that, though. When Moses saw the back parts of God, he saw something of God to such a degree that it was like light bright. His bani, his face. You understand what I'm saying? Was glowing. He had to cover his face. At least he thought so anyway. I think that was a testimony against Israel, that they don't understand, the scriptures when they're opened to them, even in their synagogues, because of the veiling of the glory of God by by Moses, covering himself. But all Israel shall be saved. I understand that. I agree. Romans chapter 11. When Shiloh comes. You understand what I'm saying? But let's look at the Hebrew, because, that's just the deal. Because that's what I want to do in this session. I want to look at the Hebrew according to verse 20 and verse 23. So let's go there. Excuse me, guys. I still have a cold. Now let's go to Exodus, okay? Exodus. And that's just it. Exodus means, it's like a trip. The same Greek word is found and recorded for Jesus' decease. Okay, the discussion between the three, meaning Moshe, Elijah, and Yeshua, Jesus. They were talking about Jesus' exodus from Jerusalem. That's what death is. It's a trip. It's not annihilation, though, man. But anyway, I speak a lot about that already, though. In my series called No Annihilation. Okay, that's just it. Now let's go to chapter 33 here recorded. You understand? So let's see if I can poke the bear correctly. I hate these tabs. I really do. They're so small. So let's see what verse 20 is right over here. Okay. All right. Fine. So it says over here. But he said, okay. It says why you mad? Okay. Okay. And cannot is law. Okay. Cannot is law. Found twice in Psalm 16. You will not allow you will not leave my soul in Sheol. Azav for leave, and not is low there in the background. Your Holy One is Chasid, and you will not allow you will not allow your holy you will not allow your Holy One to see shachat, decay or corruption. Fethara in the Greek Septuagint, and some have it in Psalm 15 verse 10. But Holy One goes with the statement of not being not passing through corruption. Meaning Chasid is not found twice there; it's found once for the same person. Let me see. Cannot. Let me see. Okay, you. Okay. So cannot you see? Okay, and that's ra'ah, I believe, right? Ra'ah. Same word that I was talking about. Ra'ah. Okay, so that's just the deal. Ra'ah. Resh with the comments. Aleph with the comments, and hey. Attacked by 7200, I believe. I remember some of these numbers anyway. Like Panim is 6440. The word that tags, the number that tags the word Elohim is 430. Echad is 259. I mean, it's just a limited number that I know of. My face, pani. Okay, pani. Pei with the kametz, nun is equal to, or the Greek nu is equal to this, I should say, rather. Okay, nun with the kametz, and then with the yod acting like a vowel, so pani. Okay, so pani, face. For, okay, so that's key. Okay, lo, no, and let's see if it says man here. Shall see me. Okay, so, and it says man there. It says man, and so that's ish. No, actually Adam. No, actually ha-Adam. Okay, the man. Okay, ha-Adam. So anyway, hey with the comments, and they say Adam is Aleph with the comments, Dalet with the comments. You have the accent marker there, I believe, and then final mem or mem sofit. There's two versions of the M in Hebrew, the M sounding letter in Hebrew. Okay, you have mem and then mem sofit. It's just like sigma. You have different versions of the sigma in Greek. That's the only letter that does that in Greek. But there are several sofit letters in Hebrew. Okay, nun sofit, mem sofit, sade sofit. Different letters that are only written as the last letter of a Hebrew word. So Adam is here. So you give that to the witnesses as well. So Adam is here. Ish, I was probably looking for Ish, because Ish means man also in Hebrew, and live. Okay, and live. So no one can see my face and live. Okay, chayai. Okay, so that's just the deal. Okay, chet with the kametz, yod with the pathach, and then yod. Okay, so that's just it. So no one can see my face in this. God said very clearly. Okay, the face. You know what I'm saying? But let me see. Okay, let me skip verse 22, and this goes straight down to, okay, the back parts of God. I was saying the back parts. Now let me see where the word back is. Okay, see. Let me see where that is. Well, actually, it's in the next verse. That was 21 that I skipped. That's 22. This is 23. Okay. So shall be seen. Shall be seen. So let's see what shall be seen. Okay. All right. That's it. Let me see. I'm trying to find back. Okay. Back is right. You see, but my face. He says it again. But my face. And back is right here. So let's check that out for the witnesses. For Jehovah's Witnesses, we could relay this to, okay, achor. Oh, Angelo, you're just reading the English. You don't really know Hebrew. All right. You have the aleph with the kametz there. The chet is a ch letter like chi, and the wow acting like that consonant wow, or nowadays called vav, is acting like a vowel. It's taking the Cholim O class, that dot above it, and right under the 2 and 268. Okay, basically the middle of H and the H and the 2, right underneath it. That dot that dot there is an O class. So if you're seeing a dot above a Hebrew consonant, you're most likely looking at an O sounding diacritic. Okay, and then after that is the rest is the R in Hebrew, like in the word dabar, basar, rosh. Okay, like that. You understand what I'm saying? Achor, okay, back, achor. Now, if you don't want to say it according to the Hebrew, to your friends, well, you could just get the spelling. What is the spelling here? Where's the spelling though? Achor, but that's the upper spelling. Oh, okay, Achor, achor. Okay. This is Angelo Quinones giving glory to God the Father, to the Lord Jesus Christ, and in the Holy Spirit. God is not the God of the dead, but of the living, and that means that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob were very much alive at the time that Jesus said those words. So in this session, we studied things that we didn't get into great detail in the great John 1:18 passage. I told you right off the bat that we would need a separate session just for that verse. Okay, sometimes we put clusters of verses together and made the study. Okay, from 1 to 10, and from 11 to 11 to 14, and from 15 to 17. We couldn't do that with verse 18. Okay, you understand? There's a lot to study there, and it took almost 3 hours to do it. So I wanted to give you an indication what's an augment in Greek. And an augment is something that is used to show a completed action in past time. Okay, and augments are used. Okay, augments are used in the imperfect tense and in the aorist tense for different reasons, but because actually the imperfect tense is a continuous deal. Okay, the aspect of it is continuous. Is a linear nature to the imperfect tense. Okay, the aorist tense, though it's not created equal, the aorist isn't. Okay, it has to do, the one found and recorded in exegesata has to do with a simple completed action. He did exegete the Father already. Okay, that's what he did. He explained him. It's not simple theologically speaking, but because it had to do a lot with a lot of stuff, the stuff of God. But linguistically, it's a simple completed action. Okay, in past time. And so we learned what the augment can look like. Okay, if the word begins in a kappa, like in the word keruso, well, some things are going to happen to the what? Okay, you're going to have an augment in front of the kappa because it begins with the word beginning with a consonant. Okay, now if a word begins in a vowel, okay, then we learned that vowel is lengthened. Okay, like for example, if it begins with an epsilon or alpha, it is lengthened to an eta, like in the word agapesin, found and recorded in the famous John 3:16 passage. But anyway, we looked at that, and then we looked at the words found and recorded. Okay. Found and recorded for the continuous onlooking, nature of the angels. Okay, let me say it this way: angels did and do continuously look at the face of God, the face of God. And we just saw that no man can see the face of God and live. But the angels do that continuously. Why? There is no sin. This is the deal, and this is the deal all across the board. So we saw that the little ones, the mikron, the children, shouldn't be despised. Well, and then we came to, okay, the famous verses of scripture found and recorded in Exodus chapter 33, where God says very clearly, okay, that man cannot see his face and live. So he had he had to hide, okay, Moses with his hand and in the cleft of the rock. If he didn't do that, Moshe would have died. And in the body of this sort of mini set of studies, I said to atheists, not just repeating what I said in my letter yesterday to atheists, you know what I'm saying? That the glaring reason, and no pun intended, glaring, the glaring reason why the Father did not allow, okay, did not allow people to see him. You understand what I'm saying? Is because people would die. And I use the example of the sun being 93 million miles away, and if you draw it closer to the Earth or vice versa, by half of that count, by 46.5 miles, a million miles, everything will be destroyed on planet Earth. Everything. I guess God knows what he's doing, after all. Yes, God. Thank you, guys. This is Angelo Quinones giving glory to God the Father, to the Lord Jesus Christ, and then the Holy Spirit again. Again, please subscribe to my channel. Please give me a thumbs up, and please leave your comment on the screen.